Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your January above reading. I am Princess India if you are new, and if you're family, welcome back, my friend. Move my mouse over there. So we're going to start with a Work Your Light Oracle to shine light on the lessons and experiences from your past, okay, path or past, the path in your past, to shine light on the present and into the future. So we're going to ask Spirit to please give us one card, please, Spirit, of light for my Cancerians, or more than one. That's totally cool, too. Or, oh gosh, how many cards is this, Cancer? I guess there's a lot from your past that you guys can learn from. Let's see. First, we have Share Your Voice, Come Out of the Cave, Persecution, and Expression. A little fear there related to expressing oneself. Then we have Play, Have Fun, Celebrate, Don't Be So Serious. Don't take life so seriously. It's enough to laugh about and enjoy. Then we have Trust Your Path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Interesting. And then you guys have the same card as Pisces. Do something to shift your vibration. Interesting. And then we have Align Your Life. What is no longer in alignment with who you truly are? That's very interesting, Cancer. So looking at all of these as beams of light, proverbial gosh, I can't talk right now. Proverbial birds, I wanted to say. Proverbial birds of light. Technically, birds of light would be angels, would it not? I don't know. But looking at these as proverbial beams of light gives me a great deal of insight into you guys' past as well as your path, for the sense that I look at these as lessons that one should have learned from your experiences up to this point. So there's a level of fear and a lack thereof of trust in the process or your experiences, which is understandable because, you know, things that happen in life that throw us seemingly off track, or if there's anything in relation to rejection, I feel this is very childhood related. I'm not going to lie. It's more or less molding and conditioning in that area. I feel this is very insecurity based. So it's more or less, I don't know, maybe you were the black sheep in your family, or you were the creative one, and maybe, you know, you had brothers and sisters that were more intellectually advanced, like they were they had high intelligence IQs, but you had more of a higher creative IQ. So it's kind of stifling yourself in a sense. So stifling yourself and then getting into a position of conforming, so to speak. So that very expressive creative side of yourself you silenced and kind of hid within, right? So more or less I would be seeing this as almost like a resurrection of your former self, who you were prior to conditioning or wounding or shame or guilt or anything of the sort. And what it would really look like is a person who forgot their inner child, not like in a wounded sense, but that part of you that creativity springs from. It's like forgetting that child way back there somewhere, and, you know, growing up, becoming an adult, getting a job, working, you know, and doing what is expected of you in so many words, and taking the not necessarily the path of least resistance, but just taking the path that is expected or typical, or, you know, what just falls into alignment with external expectations in so many words. And what it would seem like to me is that the root of all of the discord in your life, the root of your unhappiness, the root of all the imbalance is because you're not following your truth in so many words. So I'm seeing January for you all as a month of really reevaluating your life and making the decision to put things back into alignment with your former self, in a sense. That's very much what it feels like to me. Because I could say your authentic self, but I feel as if I shouldn't use the terminology where this person is someone unfamiliar to you. And it kind of reminds me of a picture that my brother had posted on Instagram last week that had me cracking up laughing. He posted a picture of him and I from the 80s, and I'm looking at myself, and I just cracked up laughing when I saw it. It was so funny because I was like, wow, that was me. Like, I resonate more with that little girl now in my life than I do with the former versions of myself, because that was me prior to, my trauma or bullying, conditioning, like all of the things that made me cover up the truth of who I was. Because at that time, I was comfortable, I was open, I was myself, because I didn't see anything wrong with myself at that time. It's like I was just me, So as we start to go through, the assimilation in life to, external society in so many words, and we go through wounds and we go through trauma, we start to cover up the authentic truth of ourselves, right? Like the personality that was developing when we were younger, because for the first time we're confronted with either who I am has caused me some form of pain, or who I am has gotten rejected. So we call that bad or something of the sort, We demonize it. We say it's bad. We cover it up and we hide it in order to protect ourselves from getting hurt that way again. And you go so many, years and decades doing that. Over time, you start to cover the truth of yourself. So the thing is that the essence of your personality isn't distorted in so many words. It's just covered up. And the thing that's ironically coming up to me is the story of the golden Buddha within. So the story is that at a monastery, there was this big giant, golden Buddha made out of solid gold. And this was like during the wars and things like that in Tibet, or the Tibetan takeover, or what have you. Those of you who are history buffs out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. But what the monks did, because they were afraid that the people who were coming to invade the village, that they would, pillage the golden Buddha statue. So all of the monks got together and they covered it with mud, right? And they fled the monastery, right? And, the people who they were afraid of coming had taken over and, reestablished everything or whatever. And years later, when everything's kind of reestablished, and the monks of that monastery, not the initial ones, because this is like decades later, new monks come in to take the monastery back or whatever, not like with force or anything, but they're moving back into the monastery because I guess stuff with the war or whatever had calmed down by then. And they thought it was like the strangest thing that there was like this big giant like mud statue of the Buddha, right? So they were like kind of cleaning up around it, and one of the monks had dropped something and it hit the statue, and a piece of the statue fell off. And he's like terrified, like thinking that he's defaced the statue, but then he sees something kind of shimmering underneath. So he calls other monks, and other monks come and they start kind of wiping away at it and realize that it's gold that they're seeing. So they start to peel away at the mud, and as they take all of it off, they realize that it's a giant solid gold statue of the Buddha, right? So that story is symbolic and indicative of the processes that we go through. It's like to protect ourselves, or to keep that most authentic, pure part of ourselves from being pillaged or taken advantage of. It's more or less we cover it up, right? So when we go through our awakening and ascension process, it's more or less going through that same process of returning back to the inner self, taking all of that gunk off and realizing that it's gold that exists within. So it's more or less the beauty of who we truly are has been preserved. You know what I mean? More or less by all the gunk that our experiences have put on it. So I say that to say that's very much like what I'm seeing for you guys. It's getting reacquainted with that person that you guys have forgotten that you were because of the conditioning that you've been through, right? Now, putting this in the context of our spread, you guys' reading is going to be very interesting. I can tell already. 10 minutes in with all this life. You guys have the Six of Swords as your theme for the month. So that's exactly what we're talking about. You guys are in transition. So more specifically, you're being called to come out of the cave. So it's more or less, and not just you, like I was saying, your authentic you. Because the authentic you, the truth of who you are on a soul level, has a message, has a mission, has a vision, has a purpose. It's something that exists in you that I, as well as the rest of the world, would benefit from you communicating. So it's more or less leaving the shadows of this tumultuous life that's completely out of alignment with your truth behind and going towards a path that's more in alignment and more peaceful, more balanced and more harmonious and I cannot talk, more harmonious, jeez, and reflective of your inner truth, your innermost essence. Looking at the past influences we have the Nine of Wands and we have the Five of Pentacles in the reverse. So how it is I'm seeing this is where I'm seeing where the seriousness came in and why it's saying that you guys just need to stop taking life so seriously. Because I feel it's more or less, you guys have done a lot of work on yourselves as far as protection goes. I feel that with the Nine of Wands, it's a lot of trauma that you guys have gone through in your life, and it's been feeling like fighting an uphill battle, so to speak. It's been a great deal of challenges, of obstacles, of resistance, and almost seeming as if everything that you have attempted to do, it's always come with opposition, if that's making sense. It's like every path you've taken, and that's where I say it's like the path of least resistance. I wouldn't say that at all. I feel it's almost every path you guys have taken has been resistance, to where whenever something good happens, it's almost as if you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, in so many words, because you know it will, because it always has and it always does, you know, having a mentality that way. But I feel it's more or less through your hard work and earnest effort in your life of you being so, not necessarily, I'm saying structured and regimented, but not saying necessarily in an external sense. Some of you could be like clean freaks and wanting to have everything all organized and stuff, but not necessarily in that, but like always focusing on the end goal and always fighting to get to that. I feel that's how you, it's symbolic. It's almost symbolic of how you vindicated yourself. So your path up to this point has been you fighting to achieve a place in the world, or fighting to gain recognition, or, to move your way up in a company, or to have a family, to make money, or what have you. It's like fighting to get to a certain point in your life, or to gain certain things and stuff or whatever, or just keeping your personal space in order on the most mundane level. It would be like, you know, being a clean freak and having everything in your house strategically organized and everything has a specific place or whatever. But I see your external actions up to this point, are symbolically a mirror reflection of you attempting to vindicate this suppressed side of yourself, in so many words. So it's more or less the wound that was left behind from that rejection was feeling shunned, feeling on the outside, feeling for some of you like bad or wrong or faulty. And then for some of you, it could also be the trauma that you experienced. So I'm seeing this two different ways that we got to this point. For some of you, it was through an actual traumatic event. For others of you, it was just being rejected in some way, whether it was feeling like the odd man out amongst your siblings, or feeling like, you know, one or both parents never really cared too much for you. And with y'all being Cancers, it's usually mommy issues, and that has legit been a thing this entire month with a lot of the signs, is mom issues. But and then for others of you, it's literal trauma. But it's like how it is that you took your power back was by taking control of your life, your appearance, your physical space, and keeping everything like running a certain way. So just kind of giving you insight into how our subconscious works. It's like when we're traumatized or we suffer with issues of rejection, like wounds of rejection. The whole thing is if, and especially with trauma too, if you feel disempowered, the human mind's first act is to re-empower oneself, because feeling or experiencing trauma puts you in a place of feeling completely disempowered, out of control of a situation. You're introduced to a whole new reality, and that causes cognitive dissonance and all of these things. And the way that a person re-empowers themselves is by gaining control over whatever facet of their life is easiest for them to gain control over at that time. So for some people, it's their external environment, like always being neat, always keeping things clean. Because if it's something dealing with, God forbid, like sexual trauma, right? It's keeping things structured and keeping things in order. And, hygiene is always on point, cleaning nails and things of the sort, because it's like an inherent feeling of like shame, and shame will make you feel kind of dirty, right? So this is all subconscious things. So it's saying like if this happened eons ago and you're an adult, and this happened like as a kid, and say if it was just to make it less serious, say it was just like one experience, right? And then like, if you think something as simple as that didn't affect you, but then you look around your life now and it's more or less, you are a person who's very neat and tidy. You take like 5 showers in a day. You're always making sure your nails are clean, and you brush your teeth like 5 times a day. Like, and everything in your house is neat. It's minimalist. There's no like type of, disorder. You're following a regimen and schedule, what have you. This is more or less an external manifestation, like the cleanliness externally. And I'm not saying this is for all people who are neat freaks, but just using this as an example. But the organization externally is a reflection of the disorder one feels internally, right? The cleanliness that one maintains externally is a reflection of the shame or the icky, dirty kind of feeling they feel internally. So I'm more or less seeing that this was your method of vindicating yourself. So how you re-empowered yourself was by keeping yourself in your lane, or creating your lane, or creating your pedestal, your platform, your place where you're leader, you're in control, and other people have to kind of fall in, or even keeping other people at a distance because you never wanted to feel what you felt years ago, right? And I feel in so many words, like this month, it's and probably with the eclipse, because everybody's supposed to get like one big epiphany during the eclipse, and this might be yours, is seeing the connection of the past to the present and seeing how that's influenced your behaviors up until this point. But that's perfectly normal. That's just how we're able to reconcile the cognitive dissonance when we endure things sometimes. But this has been your way of never being in that place of disempowerment again. However, because of that, I feel that with all of this going on subconsciously, and you're not like aware, like that whole process I just explained, not seeing the connection, it requires, like how hard it was for me to explain that. Imagine that process going on like as a program running in the background, or like an app running in the background in your brain every day. And it's like you wonder why, like, you get fatigued and tired and frustrated, or why you feel like empty inside, or you feel unfulfilled. It's because that program is running and sucking your energy. You know what I mean? And where I'm seeing where your roadblock is with the 10 of Wands, it's more or less feeling overwhelmed. It's like succumbing under the pressure. And this is going to sound so strange, Cancer, but it's like invisible pressure. This could be almost as if you look around your life and you don't necessarily see anything wrong per se, but it's almost as if there's like an invisible 900-pound man that's sitting on top of you, and you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know what it is. Like, you can't really pinpoint what the source of it is. And I feel that it's these energies, or mold and this method that you've been utilizing up to this point, in so many words. And I feel that the lack of the awareness that one has in reference to this, and like I say, I'm using this as an example, it can be different for each person, but I feel that's what's blocking your path at this sense, or why it is that you're feeling blocked or feeling overwhelmed or confused in regards to how it is that you move forward. But it feels very much to me that, well, it feels two ways. It's like for some groups of cancers, it's kind of like everything in your life as it stands now, there's nothing really wrong per se. Like you have a nice job, you got somewhere to live, you got food on the table, like there's nothing really wrong. It's like you just feel unfulfilled. And the level of that unfulfillment has become cumbersome, right? For others of you, this other group, it's funny because I literally heard a lyric from this song by Big Sean that I like. And for the other group, I feel this Ten of Wands is representative of literally what that lyric says. And in the lyric, he says, I got so many problems that they need a fucking steamroll, right? And I was like, oh, that's funny. I was like, that's a lot of problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you need to compress it that much. So I feel for the other group of you, it's more or less you have so many things. Like when you look at your life, it's overwhelmed by, if you want to start a new path, you're looking at all the things that need to be done, whether that's like fixing your credit, your finances, saving money, losing weight, like whatever it is. And it feels like there's so many problems, you don't know where to start. So it's kind of like feeling overwhelmed by all of the things that may have gone awry, that you feel kind of blocked in a sense. But the thing that I feel for you all, and this is kind of giving insight to what we're going to be looking at in the extended, it's like, it's understanding that every place on your path has a very relevant rhyme and reason. You know what I mean? Like being at this Ten of Wands, like overwhelmed, like cumbersome, like unfulfilled, whatever state. There's a reason for that, because truth be told, if you never got to the point where you became overwhelmed and you were like at the end of your rope and you started to feel, I can't do this anymore, this is too much, I'm too overwhelmed, or it's like, I don't know what I want, I feel like empty inside. If you never came to this climactic space, you could never have the epiphany to be able to alter the course of your life, in so many words. So it's almost like a necessary evil in a sense, you know? It's like, it goes into that whole ethos of you have to first figure out who you aren't in order to know who you are. And I feel that you guys' path up to this point has been becoming very well acquainted with who you aren't. So it is knowing who you are not that makes who you are that much clearer. And it comes in catalytic moments such as this, where it just becomes too much that you can't keep up with it anymore. And that's like the first times in our life that we start to realize that even if we feel that there isn't another path, that we have to find one, because we can't continue going like this, because it's like, it's either too much or this can't possibly be life. Like life cannot possibly be this empty. You achieve these things and it's like, I have stuff and that should make me happy, but I'm just not happy, or I want to be happy. And it's like living paycheck to paycheck or whatever it is. It's just too overwhelming. But the question that this card poses to you is, if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? So this is more or less what brings you guys back to like that golden Buddha within. And with this energy of play, it's like, what is it that brings you joy? It's like, if you didn't have to pay all of these bills, if you didn't have to, do all of these things that you're responsible for, what would you do? And much like the question of, if you had a magic wand, and this is a question that we actually use in therapy that you can utilize. If, you woke up tomorrow morning and you woke up to a magic wand next to you, and the directions were, you can fix everything that's wrong with your life just by waving this magic wand. And the key is, there's no catch. right? So there's no type of consequences or repercussions, or like with a genie, you make this wish, but it always turns out bad. It's none of that. There's no number of things that you can fix. You got unlimited things that you can fix in your life. And what you would do is get a piece of paper and write that down. So you wake up tomorrow morning and I leave this magic wand on the pillow next to you, and you can fix everything that's wrong with your life. Make a list of all of the things that you would fix. You know, heck, you could do this right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like while you're sitting here, make a list of all of those things that you would fix that's wrong with your life. And with that list, I don't want to tell you now, because if I tell you right now, it's going to influence what you write. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think where I can put this where you can see it. Because I don't want to influence you. You know what I'm going to do, Cancer? I'm going to tell you the answer to that at the very end of this reading, so that way you can literally pause me right now and do this, no matter how long, it takes, because I don't even want to go as far as to putting it in the extended or anything. Because if I tell you all of that now, before you write all of that stuff down, it's going to end up influencing what it is that, you write down. So I'll tell you that after I throw the dice of resonance and everything, and we'll get back into that. So for right now, Princess gave you a magic wand. You can fix everything that's wrong with your life. Make a list of as many things as you can think about that you would fix right now today, and I'll come back to that at the end of this reading. So moving right along. So that's what we're talking about here. If you were supported, what would you do? That's the equivalent of your magic wand. So when we're talking about the possibilities for the month, we have the 5 of Swords in the reverse. So this is more or less you guys coming out of this inner conflict, because I feel that, and even with this being with these 2 cards, with do something to shift your vibration, I really feel an oppressive energy with this 10 of Wands is kind of looming over you guys. Like I said, with Pisces, with the dance card, it doesn't necessarily have to just be dance, but it's doing something that's the polar opposite of what you usually do when you feel you're being overwhelmed with cumbersome emotions. And so the same if you guys I cannot talk, elect to shift paths this month or to go in a different direction. Whenever you feel doubt or you feel resistance or you feel opposition, so to speak, the way that you fight your way through it is always reattuning to your joy or doing physical movement to break up that energy, clapping your hands or, whatever method you want to use. But the whole key, in essence, is doing the polar opposite of what you're presently doing. So if you're sad and depressed, it's getting up, getting something to eat, and, taking a shower, something as simple as that. Now, what we're talking about in reference to this as well, and why it's so imperative of coming out of this inner mental conflict, in so many words. And I'm seeing this also in the opposition to this energy from your past influence too. It's like, I don't want to say that your life has been all about one-upmanship, because I don't feel it's from a malicious place. I feel that this is more or less a way of keeping yourself safe. So it's making sure that you're always in the position of having the upper hand when you're going into situations that going into a room, and there's really people who are like this. It's like going into a business and making sure you know where all the exits are. So it's like your first order of business walking in is like, okay, where are all of the exits? There. Okay, good. And then you can focus on engaging with people. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, even with relationships, like engaging with people, it's always engaging in a very cerebral way and kind of really analyzing people's behavior and seeing how they're maneuvering and kind of strategizing your way around it. And all of these things aren't necessarily done in an opportunistic way. It's like, I feel like these are all strategies that have been created that you're using to keep yourself safe and protected, so that people don't come into your space and end up hurting you in the same way that you were hurt in the past, in so many words. But the thing is I feel like that's created, like, I like the picture they used to depict this. It's like a fractured version of yourself. So the way that you're maneuvering and you're operating, although we're doing this to keep ourselves safe, it's not really serving you because it has you in opposition with yourself in so many ways. So it's more or less cultivating an imbalance. So the possibilities here is more or less you guys reincorporating this lighter side of yourself in order to remarry the fractured parts of yourself, in so many words. So once you guys get clear on your truth, that vibration of true joy that you guys have within, it's more or less that becoming your end goal and what it is that you're now doing work to go towards. And now it becomes the question when things come into your life of if it's in alignment with you or not. How you tell is this in service to my end goal, or is this, gosh, I found out why it is I can't talk, y'all, is because of all of these planets with the full moon stuff and all these squares and things, and like with Mercury being involved. That's why my mouth is jacked up. Good Lord. It's so annoying. But anyway, it's more or less, is this in service to the end goal, or is this a disservice to the end goal, right? So it's more or less taking what you've learned to protect yourself up to this point, so the skills that you learned strategizing this way to self-protect, and using those same skills to recreate a life that is more in alignment with your truth, in so many words, that's more in balance with you. But joy is always the key signifier. So we're going to go ahead and throw, oh, good Lord, the dice of resonance. If you have a yes or no question, go ahead and ask that now. I love how these last few readings just got extra long. Go ahead and ask a yes or no question now, my dear. All right. We have no, that was family before it flipped over. We have no family. We have Sagittarius, the sign that's next. Then we have Virgo, and we have Mars. So no family, Sag, Virgo, and Mars. If Princess can stop flipping them over. And then we're going to throw the dice that have no name. I hope you wrote that list down. I'm so serious. You better pause me right now if you hadn't. Don't you be cheating on these exercises, dagnabbit. All right, we have the number 6. We have Sagittarius again. What the heck is going on with y'all in Sagittarius? Or a Sagittarius looking at this video side-eyed, wondering, where is my freaking video, Princess? How the hell did you put Cancer up? Y'all are next, okay? Jeez. And whatever planet that is. Getting the evil eye from Sagittarius. So, anywho, that is Neptune. And that is one of our spiritual ambassador planets. What it says overall for these planets, it says the golden aura, Christ consciousness, agape love, all of those wonderful things. And it says you're being challenged to become more than human. Oh, you know how I always talk about the golden aura? The golden aura comes from the story, the golden Buddha within. You know what I mean? Because it's like what you are inside. It's like, even if you're covered up by a whole bunch of gunk, it's always like your power and your vibration is always going to radiate through the gunk. Like people are always able to see the light inside of you, no matter what form you're in, because it's just something that transcends, right? So that's why I always say golden aura, because it's like enlightenment, in other words. So it exists within your space, so it illuminates, you know? Look at that. All of this is connected. I have reasons for everything I do. I kid you not. So you're being challenged to become more than human. It's a call for change and growth in our consciousness. Your motivations are shifting from personal to spiritual. The pilot of your soul's evolutionary drive or desire is attracting outer events and situations into your life that reflect the inner needs. These provide the stepping stones for your spiritual growth. And specifically with Neptune, it says mystical and emotional yearning for union with God. And what I feel about that specifically, and I usually don't get interpret these too much, but what I feel I need to say to you Cancerians specifically, when I say Neptune and I say mystical and emotional yearning for union with God, what I really mean to say is a yearning for union with your authentic self, like what the golden aura represents. It's like that connection of when you realize who it is that you really are. Like your higher self being the Christ archetype. You know what I mean? It's like the true, most truest, authentic version of yourself, and starting to see yourself as the equivalent of that. That is what all of humanity is yearning for. And that is what all of humanity seeks everything in this world to fill the void that's missing. It's, and I say it in my book as the ever-growing hole, with a W, in your soul. The reason why nothing can fill it is because it doesn't need to be filled. The only thing that needs to happen is the realization of the truth that you are whole and we're never lacking anything. But that would require you to know who you really are. You know what I mean? Like the golden Buddha within. You know what I'm saying? It's realizing you're the freaking Buddha. You know? I'm just saying. Moving right along. So we have the number 6. And your major arcana to meditate on for the month is the Lover's card. And again, we're talking about balance and harmony. Synchronicities abound, Cancer. They abound. My dear, they abound. Balance and harmony. What's no longer serving your highest good? What's no longer serving your highest good? Wait. I would say that's 2 times the charm. It's no longer serving your highest good. I first have to know what my highest good is in order to know what is in service to it, or what is not in service to it, and whatnot, or whatever. So anywho, I'm going to go ahead and pick the cards for the extended, and I'm going to tell you now about that exercise. I really hope you did it. It would be a disservice to yourself as well as humanity if you didn't. I know I got really extra there, but I feel like it would be a disservice if you didn't. So anywho, so you have this magic wand, right, that I've given you, and you can fix everything that's wrong with your life. And you listened and you paused this and you made a whole list of all of the things that you would change. Now with that list, we're talking about everything that is on that list. It's your highest good. All of those things are your highest good. All of those things on that list are all of the things that you should be putting time, effort, and energy into aligning with as of now, right? Now, when we, that's not the card that goes there. When we talk about bringing that down to 3D, like for those of you who put on there, I would have $1 million, bazillion, gazillion dollars. I wouldn't have to work. It's like, well, what would you be doing with your time? You know what I mean? So it's more or less now creating all of those things that you would change, like all of that stuff that you say that you would fix in your life. That's letting you know all of the points of contention, all of those things that you would fix, like the opposite of those, like the stuff that's considered wrong with your life. That's each one of these freaking wands. In each one of these wands, it's in the position of what is blocking your path. So all of those things you would change, that's all of the blocks in your life. If you knew that you were supported, what would you be doing? And 9 times out of 10, it's the polar opposite of all of these blocks, of the things that you would put in their place. So it's like, if I ain't got no money, then I would want money. What you plan on doing to get you some more money? Do you need to get another job? Do you need to open up that business? Like, what is it that needs to be done? So now your challenge becomes using all of those things that you would want to see in your life, reforming those into goals, and now you creating a strategy and tangible action steps as well as due dates, because that's how you keep yourself accountable on how it is that you're going to achieve these goals, right? That's how you change your life. It's very practical. You know what I'm saying? It's not just close your eyes, manifesting things and things shifting and changing and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, all that's going to be in the woke book and also in all the courses that go along with it, how to create true change, whatnot. We're going to get into all of your cards for your extended. Ooh, I forgot this one. Ooh, Cancer, y'all done snuck in and got the longest reading, I think. Look at y'all, but I love you. It doesn't matter. I got to pick you guys Dark Mirror card so you can get a glimpse into the depths of your soul. So anywho, our cards for the extended, we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse. We have the 3 of Cups in the reverse. We have the Queen of Swords in the reverse. We have Wanderlust. And your Dark Mirror Oracle is I Won't Cry for You, Argentina. It doesn't really say Argentina. It just says I won't cry for you. But anywho, that has been your reading, Cancer.